If you've been in the military for over a week, you've probably seen this happen. The brand new truck in the dorm parking lot, the guy making payments on furniture he bought from the rent-to-own store, the maxed out star card before your first month on base is even halfway over. I've been active duty for over 13 years and I've watched the same story play out over and over again. The details change, but the ending usually doesn't. My name's Sean, and I've been active duty for over 13 years. And one thing I've noticed is that financial mistakes are incredibly common. Not because people are dumb, but because most of us were never taught this stuff. I want you to think about it. Before you joined the military, did anyone ever sit you down and explain how car loans work, how interest works, what your credit score actually means, how much a loan costs over 5 or 6 years? Probably not. I wasn't. Most of us learned algebra, history, a little science, if we paid attention, but very few of us learned how to manage the money we'd eventually earn. I've watched troops buy vehicles they could barely afford because the monthly payments sounded manageable. I've seen people finance furniture because the salesman said it'd only be a few dollars a day. I've seen credit cards get maxed out on things that were forgotten about a month later. Here's the thing. I don't think any of those individuals woke up that morning trying to make a bad decision. They thought they were doing what adults do. They got approved for the loan, so they assumed they could afford it. Those aren't the same thing. Being approved for something doesn't mean it's good for your financial future. I've seen this happen at multiple bases over the years. Different people, different jobs, different situations, but it always follows the same pattern. Someone gets their first steady paycheck. They finally have money they've never had before, and they want to enjoy it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then someone convinces them to focus on one thing and one thing only. What's the monthly payment? And that single question ends up costing them thousands of dollars over the next several years. So let's break it down. So why does this happen so often? One reason is that military members are generally considered reliable borrowers. You have a steady paycheck. You have consistent employment. That makes it easier to qualify for loans than many people your age. Now, that's not a bad thing. Access to credit can be useful when it's used properly. The problem is that qualifying for a loan and being able to comfortably afford that loan are two very different things. The lender's job is to determine whether you'll likely make the payment. Your job is to decide whether those payments fit into the life you want to build. Those aren't always the same answer. One of the biggest concepts people don't understand is something called negative equity. Let's use a simple example. Imagine you buy a truck for $40,000. The day you drive it off the lot, it starts losing value. That's called depreciation. Most vehicles are worth less the moment they're sold because they're now considered used. Let's say 6 months later, you buy a truck that's worth $35,000, but because you've only made a few payments, you still owe $39,000. If you decide to sell it, you're in a tough spot. You sell it for the $35,000 because that's what it's worth, but you still owe the bank $39,000. That means you have to come up with the remaining $4,000 somehow. That's negative equity. You owe more than the item is worth. Now imagine you don't have that $4,000. A dealer might say, no problem, we'll roll it into your next loan. Now you're paying for your old vehicle and your new vehicle at the same time. This is how people get trapped in a cycle where every purchase starts with debt from the last one. It happens more often than most people realize. So before you sign anything, I want you to slow down and ask yourself 3 very simple questions. First, what is the total cost? Don't ask yourself, what's the monthly payment? Ask, how much will I pay by the time this loan is completely finished? If your payment is $650 a month for 72 months, that's over $46,000. That number tells the real story. Second, what's the interest rate? Interest is simply the cost of borrowing money. If 2 people buy the exact same vehicle, but one gets a lower interest rate, that person could save thousands of dollars over the life of their loan. Even what seems like a small difference can have a really, really big impact. That's why your credit score matters. Better credit often means lower interest rates, which means more money you get to keep home. Third question, How much of my paycheck is going to eat up every month? Let's say your payment is so high that after paying for your vehicle, insurance, gas, and maintenance, you don't have much left over. Now, every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. Your tire blows out, your dog gets sick, your flight home for the holidays is expensive. And instead of having savings to handle those situations, you're relying on credit cards because all of your money is already committed. That's how debt starts to snowball. One thing dealerships are really good at is making the monthly payment fit your budget. They're amazing at it. They can lower the payment by extending the loan from 4 years to 6 or even 7. That payment looks smaller, which feels better, but you're paying for much longer and in many cases paying significantly more in interest. A lower monthly payment doesn't automatically mean you're getting a better deal. Sometimes it just means you're paying longer. So here's one habit I want you to start today. Before you sign anything, say the total cost out loud, not the payment. I am about to spend $48,372 on this vehicle, and I'm okay with that. Or I'm about to spend $6,800 on this furniture. Hearing that number out loud forces you to think differently. If you don't know that number, you're probably not ready to sign. Never let someone rush you into a financial decision. A good deal today will still be a good deal tomorrow. Take the paperwork home, read it, sleep on it, ask questions, because once you sign, that is your responsibility, not the salesperson, despite what everybody else says. Remember, the goal isn't to look successful. The goal is to become financially secure. The goal isn't to impress people in the parking lot. No one cares. The goal is to build wealth so that one day you have choices. You want your money working for you, not every paycheck already spoken for before it even hits your account. If this is the kind of stuff you wish someone would have told you whenever you first joined, that's exactly why I started this channel. I put together a completely free E4 financial survival checklist with some of the biggest lessons I wish someone had handed me when I was a young airman. It covers simple things that can save you thousands of dollars and help you avoid mistakes that are way too common. You can download it using the link in the description. And if you're active duty or you're thinking about joining and you want straightforward financial education without the hype and the get-rich-quick nonsense, hit the subscribe button. My goal with Rank and Wealth is simple: help service members build wealth while they're serving so that they have more options, more freedom, and less financial stress when it's time to take the uniform off. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.